Well, hello friends, welcome back. We are in our second week of June. The weather has been bonkers. It was 1,000 degrees for the last little bit, and today it is much less sunny, but not because it's raining or cloudy, it's because the air tastes like burning. Definitely don't have it as bad as the East Coast yet, but most of the province I live in is on fire, so that's been neat. Typically we don't see weather like this until like August, so it's a little bit sketchy that it's happening now, but you know, this is the world we live in. Anyways, I am back talking about life and our dreams and being intentional, all the things we all love to talk about. So, what I want to talk to you about today is the idea of the fact that you are worthy of what you're dreaming and how we often self-sabotage.
Hi, welcome to Simply Intentional. My name is Katie. I'm on a journey to live my most fulfilling life and hopefully inspire others to do the same. Come along as I figure out my 30s one day at a time, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my adventures.
I know I discussed this in my last video a little bit, but like lately I've just been really feeling like I'm sort of off the path, like I've lost the thread of what I'm doing. I'm not building towards like my goals and my dreams in the way that I want to be. And I really just had to acknowledge that I was self-sabotaging. I was not doing what I needed to do. I was justifying those behaviors. And I think this is something that so many people do that I really wanted to talk about it because we are worthy of our dreams, right? But we have internalized so deeply that we're not good enough, that we're not doing enough. And then we subconsciously and consciously self-sabotage our ability to move forward. We are told that we need to be realistic, that what we want is out of reach. And I'm a firm believer of the fact that like if you can envision something for your life, like that's realistic. Like I know I'm not going to be a billionaire and fly on private jets. I don't want those things, but I also know that's not realistic, right? I'm not going to go back to school and become a marine biologist, but I don't want those things. If I did want those things, I could go and do it. I might be turning 35 in 2 months, but it's not unrealistic because I would want those things. And by wanting them, it means it's something that's in your grasp. You know in your soul what is right for you. And if something is speaking to you, if something is calling to you, then do it. But what happens so often when we have internalized this idea that we're not good enough, when we have heard from society that we need to be realistic, we start telling ourselves that we can achieve these things. And there's a lovely quote that I read where basically like the words you speak become the house you live in. And it's true, right? If you tell yourself you're not good enough, if you tell yourself the things you want are out of reach, then you internalize this. And this goes back to the conversations I had previously about being the kind of person that you can count on. And so much of that does just come from understanding your own worth. You are valuable. You have intrinsic value to yourself, to the world around you. And we need to recognize that, because in recognizing that, we can take back our power over our own lives. Getting back to this idea of self-sabotage, like this can come up in a lot of different ways, and this can look really different for a lot of people. But basically, it'll be things like justifying behaviors that you know are not helpful, that are not working towards your goals. For me personally, I'm really trying to save like a ton of money, and I've been overspending. I've been justifying it. And I know it's counter to what I want. You will tell yourself, oh, it's just this, oh, it's just that. You become accustomed to instant gratification, and you will tell yourself that it's fine this time. But the thing is that snowballs. And then you are inherently telling yourself you're unreliable, that you don't really deserve what you want, that you can't achieve it. And so as you internalize this, as you stop being able to trust yourself, your ability to count on yourself and your ability to have confidence in your own decision making is eroded. And then you lose your power. You lose the ability to guide your life in the direction that you want to go. And we just sort of become accustomed to not achieving what we want to achieve. We become accustomed to instant gratification. We become accustomed to looking at things as insurmountable problems, when the reality is, and I'm going to touch on this more next week, is we can create steps, we can create plans. And while you may have a ludicrous goal, maybe you are 35 and you want to go back to school and become a marine biologist and get your PhD. That's a pretty lofty goal, right? And that's years and years of a process. But what do you do right now for that? How do you create the next step? what's the next step? And the first step to any of this, to really understanding our value, to taking back the power in our life, is we need to acknowledge where we're at. You can't change something if you can't accept it. And a lot of the time, you need to accept your own role in where you've gotten in life. It's very easy, and I know the world is crazy. Life is tough. Lots of things are happening to you that you don't have control over. But I would urge you to not be a victim to these things. I would urge you to recognize your own power to change things. Maybe you're in a job you don't like. Maybe you don't like your partner. Maybe you don't like where you're living. So acknowledge that. Acknowledge how you got there and acknowledge your own role in it, because without acknowledging your own role in it, you're not going to be able to actually take steps to improve that situation. For me personally, overspending, not meeting my savings goals. And I understand I'm in a position where I can overspend and I can save money, and so obviously this doesn't apply to everyone, but I have to recognize my own role in that. I had to do the uncomfortable work of actually writing down all of my expenses and my streaming services and the things that I'm buying, and I had to sit down and say, what's necessary? What's necessary, and what is the small joys, the little things that I like to do for myself that are non-negotiable for my mental health, for my well-being? I like getting my hair done. Is it expensive? Yes. I need to figure out a way to make that work in my budget. I like to get pedicures. They make me happy. They're good for my soul. It's bonding time with my mom. We go every 3 weeks. That's a non-negotiable for me. So maybe there's other areas of my life where I can spend a little bit less. Maybe I cancel some of my obscene amounts of streaming services, right? And I had to actually sit down and be like, hey, you're messing this up. Almost swore there, but I didn't. And you have to do that. And then I had to do the uncomfortable work of making a budget and then actually telling myself that I have to stick to it, and calling my bank and being like, why are you charging me so many bank fees? I hate making phone calls. I will literally always email every single time. So actually calling my bank and then complaining about something was a lot for me, but I did it and was like, hey, stop charging me $90 a month in bank fees. This is bonkers. And it was steps like that where I actually had to do the work, right? And then I had to figure out how I was going to stick to this budget, and I'm going to have to take out cash, and when the cash is gone, I don't get to have any more fun because I'm irresponsible. And now I know that about myself, and now that I've done these steps, I can build the confidence back in myself to understand that I can do the tough stuff, right? And the other part of this that's really difficult is as you're doing this work, you're going to feel the opposite of how you want to feel. I'm trying to save money. I'm trying to do all these things. I have goals. I want to do a lot of stuff. That process will make me feel broke because I have to be really strict with myself and I can't just go to the mall and buy stuff I want to buy. And that sucks. If you're trying to get stronger and you want to start lifting more weights or hiking longer distances, you're going to feel really weak while you're doing it. If you're trying to truly get to know yourself and create connections with yourself and live intentionally with the world around you, you're going to feel lost and disconnected in that process. And that's really difficult. And this is where I think this idea of instant gratification comes from, right? We're so used to in our society, I want the thing happens, I get it, right? And that's not the reality. As we're growing and learning and the things we want sort of become a little bit less nebulous, we see that the goalpost is out there. And I'm not trying to critique people, but a lot of people, and myself included, don't have the ability most of the time to be patient and to put in hard work because we're no longer accustomed to doing it, right? Our society is built around ease, at the detriment to other people, at the detriment to our planet. That's a whole other topic, but we need to be able to suffer. And I'm going to talk about this in a video in a couple of weeks, but this idea of being uncomfortable and how much that can improve your life. I don't mean physically uncomfortable unless that's your jam, but being uncomfy with things, dealing with hard emotions, trying to heal your relationship with people and setting boundaries. We're all so used to being accommodating and to never upsetting anyone that we have lost all nuance and all ability to struggle for things, right? And we're told issues in our lives are too big, we need to be realistic, all these things. And it's well, no, we don't have to be realistic. We can just actually do our very best and learn to work for things and to support one another. And that's a key aspect of it too. You need to find people that support your dreams. You need to find cheerleaders and champions in your life. And the thing is, when you're on this road, when you're going through these processes of like learning about yourself, of setting goals, of setting intentions, and really trying to reconnect with your values, there are going to be people in your life that drop out. And that's another part of it, right? Like, you are going to change who you are when you start working towards your goals. A lot of people are going to see this as a reflection on themselves because they know what they should be doing. They're not doing it and you are. And that's gonna suck, right? Learn how to support people. Surround yourself with people that support you on your journey. And when your friends are talking about their dreams, my God, just support them. Be a cheerleader, help where you can, even if it's just making them dinner because they're pooped from working so hard, trying to live a better life, right? Take them on the journey with you. The reality of this process is it's difficult, and we're gonna have to learn to trust ourselves. We're gonna have to learn to understand that we are valuable and worthy and we have power over our lives. And these are things that like we're just accustomed to not knowing about ourselves, right? And so next week, we're gonna talk about the best way to reach your goals, which is teeny tiny steps. But that is what I have for you today, my darlings. If you liked this video, please like it. If you want to see more, please subscribe to my content. I love making it and I love chatting with you. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this, what you think about really anything. And I will catch you in the next one. Oh, also, please check me out on Instagram. My Instagram is @simplyintentionalkatie. I'm also on TikTok, but that is deeply unhinged and mostly unrelated to this content. So follow at your own risk. And I will see you next week.